Hello, once again, Messenger, Christopher, Spirit World X, the Chosen One, here with another worldwide paradigm shift clip upload. And I, of course, told you yesterday that I'd be uploading another video shortly after the last one I uploaded. However, I kind of found myself very busy after I uploaded that video, so I am uploading this video on today, March 12th, and it of course is about 7 p.m. Once again, I want to remind all of you that this is a spiritual plane. Of course, it's an interdimensional spiritual plane where consciousness converts by electromagnetism naturally, and consciousness converts through finite avatars like the one you're in and like the one that you're looking at with your lower field of sight, which is a tool for you to experience the three-dimensional creation matrix program, which is, of course, in truth, an electrochemical automated immortal life support creation matrix genetic evolutionary program, what the Bible calls the matrix, what Elon Musk and the science community call a simulation. Well, you have also consciousness that is non-electromagnetic, that does not reincarnate but replicates. That field of consciousness, of course, existing by three-dimensional conscious awareness, five sensory organ depth perception, stimulation desire, and of course the lower fields, the lower aspects of sensory depth perception of that field, belonging to the animals, the trees, the earth, and of course all of these conscious contributions, whether they be the yin conscious, three-dimensional in conscious awareness, and I want to say there are five sensory depth perception. Of course, all of these contributions having sensory depth perception that decreases. For instance, a tree is conscious, but it doesn't have the sight sense that you and I do, okay? So it does have senses, but it doesn't have the same senses you and I do. The same organization of the senses you and I do as well. The delegation of all of these conscious contributions is yin conscious, and of course that's of course if we as the yang conscious contribution frequency of nine-dimensional conscious awareness with high vibrational electromagnetic potential existing by our frequency of conscious awareness are functioning naturally, and in our case presently we are a yang conscious field of conscious contribution that is electromagnetically misaligned, inverted in conscious awareness. We don't have three-dimensional conscious awareness as the natural yin conscious collective that helps to maintain our capacity to infinitely exist. We have a low vibrational field of conscious awareness. It's not three-dimensional in conscious awareness, but by the conditioning that we've been under for thousands of years, defining our identity by what we see, what physical bodies we're in, we of course maintain the electromagnetic misalignment, disconnection, conscious disconnection from our Trinity's highest division, the electromagnetic radio frequency spectrum of our Trinity's highest conscious interdimensional field. Now, being the case, of course, we a few thousand years ago, we activated out of our present low vibrational gene sequences the fail-safe protocol, yin conscious spectrum, which of course is put together by the Arab, the Indian, the Asian, and the European spectrum or field of conscious awareness. And of course, this spectrum of conscious function activated out of our low vibrational gene sequence for the purpose of rebalancing our 9-dimensional conscious awareness through a process of colonization, through transgenerational colonization, and process, of course, integrating us into a 3-dimensional conscious awareness controlled system where everyone is literally told lies in regards to their identity, their origin, and electromagnetic manifest potential, of course, was degraded, especially in church, in the religious dogma, to manifesting by planting a financial seed and receiving an abundance from above, from on high. What's up, brother? Making a video right now. You can listen if you want, but yeah, I'll see you, bro. Good seeing you. Pardon me, brothers and sisters. Sorry about that. So, as I was saying a moment ago, brothers and sisters, just to get back to what I was saying, we presently exist within the psychosocial construct of the unnatural yin conscious spectrum's psychosocial order. Okay, this field of consciousness is an inverted field of conscious awareness, and by the negative pressure that has existed throughout the advancement of these psychosocial systems, we being out of electromagnetic alignment, we Jews, black people, Africans, being out of alignment with our authentic Trinity's electromagnetic radio frequency spectrum, by the pressure of economic challenges that are by design, and of course the reincarnating within our melanated genetics from generation to generation, being surrounded by individuals who define the value of their identity by the money they have in their pocket, and of course us not having the capacity to accomplish the things that these individuals have been able to accomplish with this untrue outlook on identity. Through that process of suppression by design, and of course being called second-class citizens, that pressure has manifested, of course, and was pre-programmed to manifest the rising of the middle co-creative Christ Yang conscious collective, and of course you're actually looking at the product of that raising, listening to the product of that pre-programmed raising, okay? And I want to thank you for joining me once again, brothers and sisters, in this very, very, very unstable moment throughout the world, with our governments attempting to force all of us into a currency system, an electronic currency system that is totally, totally unnatural. As a result of deciding they wanted to override the rebalancing protocol, the realignment of our Black, African, Jewish conscious collective electromagnetically misaligned frequency and supplant it with a digital current C for the remaining period of time that we Jews and Gentiles are to exist on this planet or in this matrix program. This digital currency current is, of course, brothers and sisters, the absolute opposite of, and it's a opposite electronic currency system that has been created and planned by design by the unnatural yin conscious field of conscious awareness that, again, was pre-programmed for our rebalancing, not for the ability to lead us into further destruction. But this electronic currency system is, if you can think about it, is the absolute opposite of an electromagnetic reincarnation conversion. Okay? We, the Jewish host, Black people, African men and women, we exist infinitely, and of course, we travel by electromagnetism through the pre-programmed gene sequences that are pre-programmed for our infinite, for our capacity to exist infinitely. Unfortunately, the present low vibrational avatars that we exist in, we still capacitate electromagnetic potential, the Gentile conscious spectrum, the Yin conscious spectrum, that of course is a higher vibrational reflection of the natural Yin conscious spectrum. These individuals being our karma, the corporate hive mind, the three-dimensional and conscious awareness, five sensory and depth perception, corporate hive mind being the advancers of this inversion of electromagnetic potential. They do not want you to have an opportunity to know who you are and where you are. So I'm going to, at this moment in time, I'm going to continue on with the video that I started yesterday and the videos that I've uploaded over the last few weeks, and with further enlightenment so that you have an opportunity to become abreast with everything that you need to become abreast with. Okay, so remember, pay no attention to the finite avatar, because brothers and sisters, you can't afford to be stuck on looks at this moment in time. The truth is, immortality is now within this matrix program with you to a greater degree than you could ever believe. So, focus on what you're hearing and not so much what you're seeing, okay? There is a time to have attraction for the, pre-programmed features of the gene sequence mutations that you and I are in. However, this is not the time, because we have huge gains to make in regards to reconnecting our conscious collective to the truth of who we are. And of course, we have everything backwards, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start here. Why is the experience of deja vu? Why is the experience of ghosts, spirits, Remember, my name is Christopher Spirit World X here on YouTube. And of course, that name has always been a clue to who we are as collective, conscious, electromagnetic, and non-electromagnetic Jew and Gentile, or black and white, or Gentile, Arab, Indian, Asian, and European, who we are as conscious collectives. And of course, I want to give you a further explanation of how it is the mind control that you and I hear of, how we have no awareness of how it applies to our lives. We've heard about mind control, but we don't know how it applies to our lives. Now, of course, outside of what I discussed with you yesterday in regards to how mind control is applied, in particular to the melanated brothers and sisters across the world, mind control it also functions by the corporate hive mind. Now, we all know that ghosts exist. Let me start there. We all know that spirits exist and ghosts exist, right? There's billions of people all over the world who have had experiences with the spirit world. All right? Now, let's go back to how mind control applies to you and I. The spirits that we experience are conscious, just like you and I are conscious. However, we exist in finite bodies. And of course, the spirits that we have these experiences with, them being conscious, they exist infinite with a field of conscious awareness that, of course, has left a physical body. When the body, when the processes that maintain the capacity of that spirit to experience the three-dimensional body, of course, when they leave that body, or when that body dies, okay, these individual conscious fields, they leave the body, and of course, at a given time determined by the amount of positive and negative electromagnetic forces that are presently existing over the natural yin conscious frequency collective, which of course is the earth, the animals, the environment, that will determine when these spirits have an opportunity, not all of them, but the majority of them, to reincarnate back into the three-dimensional body, and of course have an opportunity to once again experience and interact with the three-dimensional electrochemical field that of course maintains our capacity to exist infinitely. Now, what is important to know about these spirits that you may have in your home is that they don't need physical eyes to see you, nor do they need a nose to smell you, your perfume, your cologne. They don't need ears to hear you. They do not need the five sensory organs that you and I experience the three-dimensional field with. While we are presently, of course, by electromagnetic potential, possessing these bodies that we're in. All these spirit beings need is sensory depth perception, okay? They have the capacity to see the three-dimensional field no differently than you and I do with our physical eyes, with the tools that we use to see the physical world. However, they, of course, see the physical world as now, if I were a scientist, I would say ones and zeros, of course. And of course, ones and zeros They the quantified correlates to the electron, the proton, the neutron, the molecular structure of all physical forms presently around you. So they have the capacity to pick up on the chemical properties of what science calls electron heaven. And they also have the capacity to pick up on your energy, okay? The energy field that you're vibrating most with. So when you're wondering how these conscious beings have the capacity to get your attention, while, of course, they are in your home or in your space, they are conscious no less than you are, okay? But they don't have five sensory organs. They do have higher sight and hearing sensory depth perception, and they do have electromagnetic potential that, of course, they are vibrating on as a frequency, okay? And their frequency is a reflection of your frequency if you are a black man or woman, because of the reality that these are reflections of you and I being electromagnetically misaligned, nine-dimensional conscious awareness, fractal aspects, okay, of high and low vibrational aspects of the same frequency, okay? Now, when it comes to you brothers and sisters who are Gentiles, Arabs, Indians, Asians, Europeans, you as a whole do not reincarnate. Now, when you consider the spirit beings that have been seen by Europeans and melanated people all over the world, most times these spirit beings that they are that are seen, these spirit beings that have the capacity to take the shape of a human being, and of course, within the three-dimensional field, the majority of the ghosts that are seen are females. They are not men, okay? They don't take the shape of the male avatar. They take the shape of a female avatar. And when they do take the shape of a male avatar, it is normally a black shape that they are seeing. It is and of course, that black shape that you're seeing is a manifestation of the electromagnetically misaligned frequency of the yang conscious field that you and I collectively are. That nine-dimensional and conscious awareness, seven sensory in-depth perception, electromagnetically misaligned frequency of electromagnetic potential. Okay, and this is where Black Sabbath gets their, desire to name, their group, Black Sabbath. It's as a result of the negative energy transfer from the electromagnetically misaligned power of the black women and the black man and the black woman's collective consciousness. This is where Black Rock gets its name. This is where, the color of the president's car being called the Beast, of course, which the Beast name, by the way, is a representation of three-dimensional conscious awareness, by the way, for your knowledge. And, of course, all the other, the black magic, all the black arts. This is where all of this comes from. It comes from these individuals. In the case of magic, it comes from summoning individual conscious fractals that belong to the electromagnetically misaligned frequency, where half of our frequency is, of course, within these physical avatars, these finite avatars, and the other half have yet to reincarnate into the physical avatar. So when you understand black magic, they're talking about the low vibrational electromagnetic frequency field potential. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and get back to the explanation on mind control. So how they control, how the three-dimensional unconscious awareness, five sensory organ and five sensory depth perception corporate hive mind maintain mind control over us is they totally corrupt what the reality of consciousness is in this matrix program, okay, or the identity of what they call a human being is, by telling you that your brain, okay, your brain is for the most part an aspect of who you are, and your flesh, what you see in the mirror, it defines who you are in identity. And of course, if you have features that are more symmetrical, you have more value and you're pretty or you're handsome. And if you don't have symmetrical features, you are less valuable. And of course, your whole education is based upon these very childish standards. And it's unfortunate that these individuals want to call themselves our leadership. It really is. And of course, because we're convinced that it is money that maintains our survival here, and not fruits and vegetables, and a clean soil so that they can grow, in a clean atmosphere so that the sun can shine through. Unfortunately, we have, conditioned each other to this low vibrational field of conscious awareness. And of course, it is the very field of conscious awareness that, for the most part, has brought our planetary environment to great sickness and, of course, almost calamity. So we have to turn this around now, because money doesn't have the capacity to save us. What will save us is acknowledgement of the truth and aligning our conscious capacities to the highest division of our authentic trinities, three-divisional electromagnetic radio frequency spectrum, which, of course, if you watch the tool video, you have an opportunity to see how it is. The black man in that video, at the end of the video, once again became aligned with our authentic three-divisional trinities electromagnetic radio frequency spectrum. Money will not, in these days and times, save us from what is to come after I am done creating these videos. And I can assure you, just as I have told you that last year, 2 years ago, that and in 2021 to not take the jab because the government was attempting to, not the government so much, but the individuals who control the puppet strings of our government, the three-dimensional and conscious awareness, five sensory and depth perception corporate hive mind, from India to Saudi Arabia to America to Britain, all over the world. It was taking place in 2021. And of course, I told you that this jab is going to, for the most part, destroy your capacity to survive in the future. And in 2022, 2023, now we know that millions of people died as a result of myocarditis. So the guardians who give me all of this knowledge were right on that. And of course, now we're seeing that martial law is being unleashed in Washington, D.C. And of course, a year and a half ago, I told you in one of the videos that I uploaded, I was standing in front of a church. So if you see me standing in front of a brown building, look for brown brick in the videos, and brown brick in the background, similar to that brick there. I will be standing in front of a church, and in that video, I can't remember which shift clip upload it was, but I told you in that video that martial law was going to come and the military would be soon used against us. All right, and of course, right now we are in a place where the military is being placed in California and of course Washington D.C. Now, of course, Washington D.C. is a federal city, so it is it's legal for Mr. Trump to do what he is doing in Washington, but it is not legal, as I've recently found out, for him to do that throughout the rest of the United States. So brace yourselves, brothers and sisters, and prepare to stand up in truth, okay? We are running short on time to make this happen. However, when we are aligned under one umbrella of truth, the sky will fall on those who oppose us. I can assure you of that, just as well as I'm sitting here in front of this camera at the moment, okay? But getting back to mind control, your thought process has been, for the most part, steered for the past few hundred years. And if you're a Gentile, and if you're a Jew, your mind thought process for thousands of years in a non-electromagnetic direction of sensory depth perception. You naturally reap and sow, what the church calls reap and sow, by your electromagnetic manifest potential, okay? If you're a black man or an African man and woman, Gentiles, the Gentile conscious spectrum, is, of course, your three-dimensional conscious aware, or was, I should say, your three-dimensional in conscious awareness, five sensory and depth perception, karmic beast, or beast karma, okay? That you manifested out of your mind and body as a result of us eons ago deciding that we wanted to experience what the Bible calls free will, okay? What we call free will is, of course, nothing more than an explanation of how it is we, the middle co-creative Christ Yang conscious collective of nine-dimensional conscious awareness and seven sensory depth perception, have a fail-safe protocol field of sensory depth perception, which allows us to lower our frequency of electromagnetic potential if we choose to. And of course, if we choose to five sensory organ depth perception and five sensory organ identity definition. Of course, doing this would result in, of course, by our collective conscious awarenesses, frequency of negative electromagnetic potential activate out of our mind and body as a result of us vibrating with the frequency of awareness of the beast, or the beast of the field, or the animals, would, of course, elicit by electromagnetic activation out of our finite low vibrational avatars, to which we didn't exist in either until we got to them. Okay, the fail-safe protocol, three-dimensional unconscious awareness, five sensory and depth perception, Gentile or yin conscious, unnatural yin conscious spectrum. Okay, and this is of course what resulted as a result of us deciding that we were going to piss all over the black kettle of the molecular structure of this matrix program. And I get those words from the song The Pot by Tool. Listen to the song The Pot by Tool, by the way, the group Tool. And that song The Pot is all about our nine-dimensional conscious awareness, seven sensory in-depth perception field of conscious awareness, and high vibrational electromagnetic manifest potential, or nine-dimensional field of conscious awareness, seven sensory and depth perception, choosing to lower our field of conscious awareness and exist in this three-dimensional field by five sensory organ definition. Of course, the male and the female body, although you may look at me and say I'm a male and that woman is a female, these are, of course, just conversion supports that maintain our field of conscious awareness's capacity to continue reincarnating. Okay, that's all these bodies are. All right, and of course we do have the capacity to experience five sensory organ depth perception stimulation through them, of course, and there are plants we are stimulated by. There are plants that they help us to sleep. There are plants that, so we are supposed to have a stimulation experience within these finite avatars, and we are supposed to be able to smile, and we are supposed to be able to mourn the loss of an aspect of our high or low vibrational frequency potential from a physical form, but we are not meant to supposed to go overboard to where we're ready to kill ourselves because our mate died, or we want to go just say I'm gonna go smoke crack and I'm just gonna go get drunk and I'm gonna go smoke weed until I catch a lung disease. Or these are the things that we do when we don't have enough awareness, as I didn't 2 years ago when I decided I was going to go out and party when my mother was, of course, unfortunately, when what I've learned to call my mother was dispatched by very diabolical means, and as a result of us having not enough knowledge of who we are, as I didn't at that time, we of course find ourselves in a very, very unpleasant place when it comes to, how we're experiencing this three-dimensional field and one another. If someone says, hey, you're ugly, all of a sudden, you're depressed and you want to go get drunk, or you want to take it out on your, the people that, care about you and don't care about what you look like. This is where we are right now. And this, of course, is the result of us going over the line of our standard, of our capacity to maintain our standard five sensory organ stimulation experience, okay? But getting back to mind control, all right? The corporate hive mind maintains mind control over us by, for one, you have politicians who they won't spend too much time talking about ghosts, okay? Although many citizens around the world, they know that spirits are real, but there are no policies written. And politicians don't even focus on that. There are no policies written for any of that stuff. Matter of fact, most of them will tell you, I don't want to talk about that. You're crazy if you talk about that. Now, these are mostly men. And the reason why is because of the fact that the Gentile conscious spectrum, the lower vibrational aspect of the Gentile conscious spectrum, three-dimensional and conscious awareness, five sensory in depth perception, sensory organ, hive mind, those who, of course, control the advancing of artificial intelligence, they for the most part, they are pre-programmed to only believe that they are what they see in the mirror. They, of course, are the individuals who taught you that once you die, you're gone forever. You go to heaven or you go to hell. And, of course, all of these things that they tell you, of course, are told to you based upon the reality that for these individuals to stay in control of lowering if you're a melanated man or a woman, maintaining the lowering of your conscious awareness, okay, to five sensory organ, five sensory depth perception, identity definition, so that by doing that, your negative energy transfer to Gentile or white or Indian or Arab or Asian men and women can continue, so that the overriding of the rebalancing protocol can be maintained, all right? So when they say, hey man, ghosts don't exist, I don't want to talk about that stuff, you're crazy, all right, it's pre-programmed for them to function that way, okay? But put it this way, the rebalancing protocol, I could not be the product of the rebalancing protocol had not our societies, our psychosocial structures being organized in the way that the European man, the Arab man, the Indian man, and the Asian man were, of course, advancing it, okay? Now, let me get back to mind control, okay? So, how mind control is applied to us, and particularly melanated men and women, and the high vibrational aspect of the three-dimensional conscious awareness, five sensory and depth perception collective, which is the European, Asian, Indian, and Arab woman, okay, in particular, so as to suppress the potential, the counterbalancing potential of their frequency, okay? This is why, European women, their man tells them, hey, here's some money, go buy some clothes, baby, you're gonna look so good. Oh, look at the ring I got you, it's big, isn't it? All it is a piece of glass, but it cost him $50,000. But he can afford it, of course, because, hell, I mean, all I gotta do is go into the factory and print up, another $200 million if I want to. Okay, to hell with the debt, the public will pay that. Anyways, this is how the class caste system, functions, between Jews and Gentiles, black people and Europeans, Arabs, Asians, and Indians. And the market is maintained by the women saying, hey, I'm going to buy that purse. I want those heels. I want to buy that. Oh, I want to buy that makeup. Oh, I want to. Okay, so in particular, the mind control has been applied to European, Asian, Indian, Arab women, and melanated men and women. In particular, for the purpose of maintaining negative energy transfer and suppression of the high vibrational potential of the yin conscious collective, the three-dimensional yin conscious awareness, seventh sensory, five sensory in depth perception, conscious collective. And the reason why is The reason why, or now I'll tell you what the mind control, how it is applied. It is applied, brothers and sisters, by you being told that the mind and what you see in the mirror is your identity. The application of mind control happens by the supplanting of the word consciousness for the word the mind. Okay? You know how psychology talks about the mind and how the mind works, the right brain, the left brain, your subconsciousness. To you, Gentile brothers and sisters, your subconscious mind, existing as external low vibrational reflections of the high vibrational electromagnetically misaligned collective of conscious awareness of melanated men and women. Kind of got lost because I was thinking about that noise above me. It's a cricket. Well, anyways, let me try to remember what I was just saying, because I definitely just forgot, but it was very important. Okay. The mind control that you've heard about, you know, in Auschwitz and in Germany, you know, when you hear the song, "We don't need your education, we don't need your thought control." Well, it's applied by you being told that the mind and what you see in the mirror is your identity. All right. And they talk about the right brain and the left brain to maintain confusion in regards to the high and low vibrational aspects of their three-dimensional and conscious awareness field of conscious awareness. All right. And non-electromagnetic sensory depth perception. All right. And of course, by telling you that the mind and what you see in the mirror is your identity, you are cut off from the reality that consciousness is infinite. And of course, when you consider the church, when you hear about God or the highest division of our Trinity, you are told that the highest division of our Trinity is called heaven, and there is a physical he that sits on the throne. Of course, this connects to you being told that the infinite consciousness is actually the finite mind, and the finite mind is you know, a part of your collective identity, which of course is by what you see in the mirror when you look at the avatar you're in, of course. And of course that goes back to the rebalancing protocol that had to take place for the re-rising of the middle co-creative Christ Yang conscious chief cornerstone, which is of course me. Our consciousness, brothers and sisters, you black men and women, is the middle division of our Trinity. It is invisible no differently than the highest division. It is invisible and infinite no differently than the highest division of our Trinity is invisible. Okay? Your Bible as well, it tells you that, you know, that what you call God is not a man, it's a spirit. It says if you serve God, you have to serve God in spirit and in truth, because God's a spirit. And then, of course, in 2 seconds later, you're calling God a him, and there's major confusion, but there was a purpose for that major confusion. And of course, you don't have to worry about that confusion anymore, because the truth is now here in this planet, brothers and sisters. And even if this program gets shut down on YouTube, as opposed to being censored, and all of the information that I'm telling you being shut down, there's nothing that can stop what is to come from above. Nothing. Always remember that. You of the three-dimensional and conscious awareness collective who doesn't want to give up on advancing the supplanting of our aligned frequency back to our middle co-creative Christ Yang conscious position within this matrix program, which is the lowest division of our Trinity. No matter what you do, you can count on these words. As everything else I've said would come true, did come true, that will also come true. So the best thing you can do right now is leave my people alone and leave your own people alone and let them have an opportunity to gain the wisdom necessary for them to align. Because very soon you're going to lose your opportunity to even function. And it's not going to happen because you decided to. I assure you of that. So the mind control, brothers and sisters, is applied through you having no awareness of the reality of who you are as an infinite conscious being, who you are as an infinite conscious being behind melanated skin, an infinite conscious field with a high vibrational frequency of electromagnetic potential, co-creator of this matrix program, and who you are as a Gentile, Arab, Indian, European, or Asian, who has been, of course, activated by electromagnetic potential out of the mind and body, out of the electromagnetically misaligned conscious function and body of melanated men and women, actual Jews, of a few thousand years ago, okay? How it is, you people you both have no value if you don't have money or if you don't have looks. And this is exactly how it is mind control is applied to all of you. All right, so before I lose light here and time, I'm going to go ahead and read what I have to read to you for your greater enlightenment and for your instruction, all right? While the corporate hive mind survives off three-dimensional conscious awareness, five sensory organ stimulation, perversion, like child and animal abuse, blood sacrifice, Gentile citizens existing as external electrochemical automated psychobiological reflections of Jewish or black or African internal electromagnetic misalignment are as external low vibrational psychobiological reflections amplified in five sensory organ stimulation desire by negative energy transfer from our conditioned Jewish low vibrational sensory depth perception stimulation desire, being manipulated in the Gentile psychosocial economic system. While this is taking place, entertainers, politicians, doctors, talk show hosts, religious leaders become multi-millionaires and billionaires. As a matter of fact, let me stop that, okay? Because I want to go back to where I started first. Why is the experience of deja vu of ghosts more prevalent, okay? More prevalent to us, standard citizens, all right, than winning the lotto? I mean, a ghost will scare the hell out of you quicker and of course keep fear in you longer than money will keep you happy, of course, because the spirit world has greater power over anything you can see, and of course you all know that, okay? So why are ghosts and deja vu more prevailing in thought than winning the lotto, okay? The power of and even the power of the Superior Court or Supreme Court. Why do judges participate in Satan worship, musicians. And why do musicians reference the word black? Why is the biggest holder of, real estate named BlackRock? Why is the Kaaba black? Why were Jews hijacked of their identity 1,000 years ago and by their own people, and then called Egyptians, and over many generations they went from Africans to now black to now African American over many generations? Of course, I think I've already explained to you why that is. It was the result of the fail-safe protocol rebalancing programming that, of course, exists by our conscious collective so that we can rebalance who we are as a infinite field of conscious awareness back to our middle trinity position of conscious infinite over many generations of being electromagnetically misaligned from that position, okay? And of course, the three-dimensional conscious awareness, 5 sensory and depth perception, 5 sensory organ identity definition, corporate hive mind. The reason why they love the word black so much is because of negative energy transfer, okay? So now I'm going to get back to where I was a moment ago. All right, so while the corporate hive mind survives off of three-dimensional conscious awareness, 5 sensory organ stimulation, perversion, and I'm not talking about just big corp. I'm talking about these people who call themselves our leaders throughout the world. They are into the most unbelievable things, all right? Child, animal abuse. This is why these people do not convict animal abusers and child abusers. That to them, it's, hey man, it's just Tuesday. All right, this must be stopped, and we're going to stop it. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself and the highest division of our Trinity, the High Council of the Order of the Crystal Keys, to whom I certainly bow down to every day throughout the whole day. And I mean, it's just amazing to know that this connection is real. And I'm going to go ahead and keep reading so that you can gain an even greater connection. Okay? So remember this: we're going to stop you, psychopaths. All right? No matter what you do, doesn't matter now. It's over. Okay, so I'm at 58 minutes, brothers and sisters. I hope to not go any longer than an hour and a half, and I hope that I have enough room on my phone to be able to complete this video. And if I don't, I'm going to leave it where it is and pick it up after I clear space, okay? So, and by the way, if people need extra data and you don't feel like using your data to watch my videos, go to the library to watch my videos. You can use their Wi-Fi or use your neighbor's Wi-Fi. I mean, find a way to use Wi-Fi without having to pay for it, okay? Okay, so while Gentile citizens, while the corporate hive mind and those who call themselves our rulers, and those who, of course, are writing policies and that are putting us in unbelievable situations, while taking every one of the supports that have been used to maintain the rebalancing protocol and at the same time maintain negative energy transfer from blacks and Africans to Arabs, Indians, Europeans, and Asians. While they've been doing that, and while they have also been attempting to show themselves in the media as doing America a great job, and telling you, hey, you all voted for this and we're doing what you want us to do. The reality is you don't even know if you don't have any power over your vote. You think you do, okay? But you really have no power over your vote. These people tell you, oh, yeah, well, we counted 10, 20 million votes, and half of them went here, or, 60% went this way, and 60% went that way. But how do you know that? How do you know? You don't know. As a matter of fact, the president is chosen before you are hit with the idea that you actually chose the president, okay? None of it's real. It's all a show. And it's been a show for a great purpose. Half of the reason why it's been a show was for a great purpose. I'm the product of that purpose. And the other half was for a diabolical purpose of negative energy transfer. Okay? So while they're doing that, all right, regular Gentile citizens existing as external electrochemical automated psychobiological reflections of Jewish internal electromagnetic misalignment are as external low vibrational psychobiological reflections amplified in five sensory organ stimulation desire by negative energy transfer from being manipulated. From our conditioned, from our Jewish low vibrational five sensory organ, five sensory depth perception, stimulation, desire, okay, being manipulated in, of course, this Gentile or three-dimensional conscious awareness, five sensory and depth perception, psycho-socioeconomic system. While this is taking place, entertainers, politicians, doctors, talk show hosts, religious leaders become multimillionaires, okay? Why is it, this is a question for you all, why is it that most people, and I'm just trying to write a couple questions here down and so I can give you a couple answers. Why is it that most people have a what can you do for me disposition? It's because we are all existing by a non-electromagnetic, electromagnetically misaligned collective conscious, low vibrational sensory organ, five sensory depth perception, stimulation frequency experience. The desperation, insecurity, okay, and conditioned lack mindset is all by design, okay? Economic inequality, you're pretty, you're ugly, high value, and low value psychosocial system, low vibrational, non-electromagnetic currency system is the result of us infinite co-creative beings identifying one another, sustaining our survival, identifying one another and sustaining our survival, existing in reverse by finite pre-programmed avatar definition, and of course maintaining the development of these avatars by the destruction of our natural yin conscious aspect, which is the animals and the earth, okay? We have major psychological disruption, emotional disruption, as a result of us being consciously connected. The animals are the low vibrational aspect of our interdimensional multi-frequency field of electromagnetic potential. The animals have non-electromagnetic potential, but they are connected electromagnetically to us, just like the Gentiles are connected electromagnetically to us, the Gentile conscious spectrum. And of course, they pick up and receive, and they send signals, just like we transmit signals to the Gentile conscious spectrum. The animals, being our natural low vibrational yin conscious reflective aspect of field awareness, they send signals that come from them being put in slaughterhouses, them existing on farms and being prepared for the slaughter, them having to deal with unstable environmental conditions, poisoned water to drink. So the desperation that we feel, the paranoia that we experience, all of the different conditions that we experience are not only created by the psychosocial conditions that surround us, but they're also they also exist on the part of us receiving, having the capacity to receive the emotional transmission, the transmissions from the emotional state of these beings, the trees, the ground, the earth, the animals, the atmosphere, okay? And of course, the conditions that they deal with are getting worse. So we must turn this around, all right? And of course, it is my hope that by you having all this knowledge, we will turn this around, okay? So before we, and when it comes to our relationships, okay, before you and I, from this point on, before we set out to advance a relationship and a concept of a family, okay, what we must first do is set out to know who we are, all right, and to know what our true family is. And I just ran over, when I discussed with you who your true family is. Your true family, my brothers and sisters, are not the physical avatars that you're standing next to or lying next to in bed. Your true family is the three-dimensional in conscious awareness, unnatural field of conscious spectrum that exists by the Gentile conscious spectrum I'm talking about the high vibrational aspect, okay? Not just the women, but the men who choose to align. That's your true family. Your true family is also the conscious contributions, okay, that have decreasing levels of sensory depth perception. For instance, when you consider how a leaf, when the sun hits a leaf, the leaf, it turns into the direction of the sun and opens up so the sun can hit it. That is a pre-programmed sensory depth perception, or a pre-programmed sensory response that is no different than your sensory response when you feel that beautiful sunlight hitting your skin. All right, these are your true family. You're literally, unfortunately, those of you who haven't decided to understand the necessity of you being a non-flesh eating spirit being here, you're eating your own children, okay? You're eating your family. And this is why, to those in power, blood sacrifice it's a big thing. They're really cool with it. Why? Because you are. All right. Now I want to go on. We who believe that we're male and female are actually the flipped inside out middle co-creative Christ Yang conscious frequency collective. We are an infinite being. These male and female bodies that we're in, they contain our frequencies, high and low vibrational frequency aspects, okay? When we have what we are calling a child, what we are doing is we are reincarnating the electromagnetic potential that exists outside of our body as a part of our frequency collective, who are no different than us, infinite beings, okay? So what we're doing is we are providing a way for the rest of our frequency collective to experience the three-dimensional field, all right? Our humanity, our bad health, the meds that we need to survive on, are the result of being a part of a transgenerational conspiracy to lower and manipulate the co-creator of the pre-programmed three-dimensional conversion field, conspiracy to lower, the co-creator of the pre-programmed three-dimensional conversion field, okay, collective conscious frequency awareness and faculties of electromagnetic perception through mass programming and conditioning, inverting by corrupting our infinite collective conscious frequency of standard electromagnetic frequency potential, and of course our standard electromagnetic conversion process by conditioning our conscious awareness as a frequency to acknowledging the value of our, I'm sorry, I kind of lost myself, please forgive me. I had a bug on me, I'm sorry. Okay. To acknowledge the value of our pre-programmed finite aging gene sequence, male and female conversion supports as our identity, and our emotional stability by the stimulation of our 5 sensory and reproductive sexual organs, okay, through which we reincarnate by the electromagnetic potential of our collective conscious sensory depth perception capacities, electromagnetic potential, by also conditioning us to define the value of our shared intelligence within our finite avatars, by way of conditioning low vibrational non-electromagnetic identity by the value of a chosen finite medium of exchange of products that are created by our intelligence, okay, as we exist in these finite avatars, okay, and our capacity to buy each other's intelligence and our capacity to purchase each other's intelligence, though we are infinite intelligent reflections of each other. We have gone from knowing who we are as an infinite co-creative frequency of electromagnetic force who travel through pre-programmed genetic gene sequence mutations by electromagnetic potential and who fuel the development of those finite avatars with the lush fruits and vegetables, to still having deja vus, but not knowing who we are, separate from the finite pre-programmed avatar chemical conversion supports that we're conditioned to believe we are, sustaining our false identity and its finite value by the non-electromagnetic currency value of our non-electromagnetic yin conscious aspect, a degrading in value dollar. Okay? Now, I want to get to the rest of this because it's getting a little darker and I want to get this done before that happens. Okay? All right. Here we go. Let me see. Let me get to the right. Oh, boy. Intro. All right, brothers and sisters, once again, our redemption is about realignment, okay, of conscious awareness with who we are as spirit beings through a breakdown of our three-dimensional trinities, interdimensional fields of conscious awareness, or interdimensional conscious reality. I'm sorry. How we, co-creator, experience creation through fields of conscious awareness and experience creation through I'm sorry. How we experience creation, how we, co-creators of this Matrix program, experience creation through interdimensional fields of conscious awareness, electromagnetic potential and non-electromagnetic conscious potential, through 5 sensory organs, or less than 5 sensory organs, and of course in 5 sensory organ stimulation. We, Jew and Gentile, all have 5 sensory organs, sexual reproductive organs, but we have differing sensory depth perception and electromagnetic reincarnation potential, just so that you all know that. Those who control our present reality, they mock discernment by stating that, I don't know what's going to happen in the future because I don't have a crystal ball to know the future. Yet, brothers and sisters, I want you to know that they have planned out your future and they designed your capacity to exist and survive since the beginning of the inception of their existence, okay? What you and I, brothers and sisters, have done is we've swapped out electromagnetic conversion and our standard 7 sensory depth perception sensory organ stimulation experience, where we acknowledge there must be a balance that exists between our standard stimulation desire and our standard responsibility to our natural yin conscious aspect, conscious contribution capacity, for a non-electromagnetic currency and low vibrational identity narrative and survival model, where identity is consigned to the development of a pre-programmed conversion gene sequence mutation, pre-programmed for our infinite electromagnetic conversion. And our sensory depth perception, 5 sensory organ stimulation experience by 5 sensory organ stimulation, using money to add value to our fictitious identity, which we fuel by our yin conscious frequency aspect, being sacrificed, economic manipulation by our hijacked in purpose, low vibrational, karmic 3-dimensional conscious awareness reflections, mass psychological issues. I hope you can understand that, because I lost the way in which I should read that. So forgive me, but I'm sure you can put it all together if you try. Mass psychological issues, that is insecurity, ADHD, narcissistic personality disorder, ego, sadism, rape, child molestation, depression. We have traded off everything natural for, of course, all of these things that we're now experiencing. And of course, we have to turn this around. Knowing our identity as a frequency, our flesh is on totally opposite dimensional planes, while our fail-safe protocol rebalancing conscious controls is on the same 3-dimensional plane, all right? The 3-dimensional in conscious awareness, corporate hive mind, they apply mind control, and of course, we already talked about how mind control is applied, all right? It's through you, an infinite collective conscious being, all right, being influenced to believe that your finite body delegates you being alive, despite the reality of the spirit world. You know, your body doesn't make you alive, and proof of that, and your mind doesn't delegate you having sensory depth perception capacity. Your consciousness delegates you being alive, and your sensory depth perception, of course, is what has attracted you to the processor that is your brain. All right. But of course, they don't want you to have any awareness of this. So remember to record everything that you're hearing so that you can listen to it whenever you want to without having to depend upon going on the internet to hear it. Okay. The trap of negative energy transfer from the 9-dimensional conscious aware to the 3-dimensional conscious aware collective frequency. Okay. From okay. Get you, brothers and sisters, you Jews who are, of course, under the conditions of the 3-dimensional conscious awareness, 5 sensory organ, 5 sensory depth perception, psychosocial system. The trap of negative energy transfer is to get you, who is the co-creative electromagnetic frequency, high vibrational reflective host, to lower your sensory depth perception capacity from 7 to 5 by influencing you to ego, influencing you to jealousy, influencing you to desire replicating their version of experiencing the 3-dimensional field through your 5 sensory organs, and getting you to replicate their version of being free. They need you to desire mirroring their identity narrative. They wear Prada, you wear Prada better. They work out, you go to the gym and work out and you look better. They get money, you make a way to get money and you go on vacation to do what they do better. This is the playbook of the 3-dimensional conscious awareness, 5 sensory and depth perception, corporate hive mind frequency. And this is, of course, how the frequency war against the 9-dimensional conscious awareness, 7 sensory and depth perception, electromagnetic host frequency, of course, and the non-electromagnetic high vibrational aspect of the Gentile conscious collective is put into activation, all right, and has been in activation, okay, by, of course, our Gentile suitors, of course, our Gentile suitors, and this has been put into activation for negative energy transfer from host. This is why, brothers and sisters of the melanated race, African and black, as you want to call yourselves, this is why economic marginalization is a fixed condition within this psychosocial structure, all right? And no reparations have come, okay, since they were promised to you, all right? This keeps, unfortunately, the walking dead living. All right. Now, let me go on to part 4. By you and I having the capacity to go to the store and buy makeup and buy clothes, buy brand new shoes, and buy, everything being so convenient. If you need to drive 30 miles to this store or 30 miles to that store, and you need to, drive a great distance or a short distance, doesn't matter, to get the things that you need to maintain your over the line 5 sensory organ stimulation, desire. You and I, by having access to everything, you Gentiles as well, you and I have, for the most part, taken for granted, and by having, the industry, capable of the industries who provide all of these things being capable of providing these things, you and I have taken for granted the reality of order. And you and I have also taken for granted the reality that you and I are actually floating in what you've been told is outer space. You can't walk, pimp up and down the streets, and you can't walk in your suit and tie once you go outside of this Matrix program's upper atmosphere or stratosphere. Okay, but you and I we've seemed to taken all this for granted. And the people who've hijacked our electromagnetic rebalancing protocol, all right, based in their standard three-dimensional conscious awareness, five sensory depth perception, sensory organ stimulation desire, existing as low vibrational electrochemical automated external reflections of our middle co-creative Christ Yang conscious collective internal electromagnetic misalignment, being receivers of our electromagnetic host negative energy transfer to their three-dimensional conscious awareness, five sensory depth perception desire, acknowledging a need for stimulation, okay, under conditions of hijacking, under conditions of the hijacking conspiracy. What they do, brothers and sisters, is they create water because they have a need to drink water. So what they do is they go create water, okay, to be sold naturally in accordance with the conspiracy to degrade and destroy all conscious capacities of all conscious contributions, all right, that have been pre-programmed to maintain our infinite electromagnetic conversion. Okay, they must have access after our belief. Money is a necessity, tool for survival and complementing. Okay, they must have access after our. They must have access after our low vibration. After our believing that money is a necessary tool for survival, complementing our non-electromagnetic, non-frequency identity narrative, where we, where of course, here we go, where we don't acknowledge sharing of intelligence, I'm sorry, you got to forgive me. I got that area all messed up because I have too many, abbreviations there. So I'm going to skip that part, okay? So under conditions of hijacking, they create water to be sold, not caring about how the packaging will harm them or the people whose stimulation desire they supply. They put the product on the market, okay? Once that's done, or before they do that, they stamp and approved by the Food and Drug Administration stamp on it. They put a smiley face on that bottle to gaslight your conditioned five sensory depth perception, five sensory organ, three-dimensional conscious awareness, non-electromagnetic status, stimulation, desire. And after a time, you brothers and sisters, what happens to you is you get sick, all right? Once you get sick, and after they have, of course, made the money that you've taught yourself that you believe to survive, after they've made that money scarce, okay, I'm trying to find my place here because I got writing that is, for the most part, it's not easy to read it with how small I make it. Okay. So, okay, here we go. You get sick, and then you have to pull together all of the money all of the depreciated in value, all right, as a result of inflation, all the money that you can, okay. So as to make yourself better, all right, and of course, and the greater your faith in it on these individuals who've monopolized from generation to generation your wealth, this material wealth, and of course, what is more valuable, your energy, all right. The greater your faith for them to provide this money, the higher the hijackers of our rebalancing protocol, the higher they raise the prices on products, of course, created to complement and further degrade your non-electromagnetic, non-standard matrix, 5 sensory depth perception, 5 sensory organ, identity narrative, and stimulation desire. All right. Okay. Now, all of these processes are rigged to make you and all other conscious contributions pre-programmed to exist for your immortal conscious conversion. They're all rigged. All of these processes and policies are all rigged to make you and the environment sick. Your sensory organ stimulation desire, okay, trumping logic and conscious awareness by you being able to buy a pill or a water purifier. Now, water is vital to our conversion, the development of our finite avatar to undertake our standard equalizing responsibility, our standard sensory organ stimulation chemical compounds, for instance, tobacco. Tobacco's a natural plant. Coffee's a natural plant. These are stimulants. Just like water is a necessity, but these other stimulants, they are not a necessity to your survival. However, they are natural, pre-programmed stimulants to your stimulation, your 5 sensory stimulation experience. However, when you are attempting to corrupt the natural stimulation experience by saying, hey, let's see what smoking these things are like. Let's see what smoking this stuff is like. Or you're creating bottles to carry water, and you're, of course, creating products that maintain your 5 sensory organ stimulation experience here in your co-created matrix program that poison, not only your system by, forever chemicals, and you're creating products that poison the water that animals, that all pre-programmed natural 3-dimensional and conscious awareness, 5 sensory and depth perception life forms need to sustain their capacity to replicate. Well, you have certainly went way overboard of having a natural 5 sensory organ stimulation experience as a spirit being in a finite body. When you're coming together, for instance, with a female, and I know it's hard to get away from having your sexual organ or your organs stimulated when, after being programmed for so long to define someone's value by, define someone's value and worth and your capacity to be stimulated on how much money they have or what they look like. It is, after you've been conditioned and programmed for so long, it's kind of hard not to have your sexual organs become stimulated. But this has literally this stimulation is literally a mark that you and I have gone way over the line of a standard 5 sensory organ stimulation desire experience. And in my next videos, I'm going to try to do a better job at getting all of this stuff written down in such a way where I don't have so many words abbreviated, so that I won't have such a difficult time at giving you the rest of the enlightenment that you need. I know that the last part of this video is kind of, trashed, but hey, I'm only doing the best job that I can with the conditions that I have to deal with. And I hope you all appreciate it. And to all of my haters who definitely don't appreciate it, well, it sucks to be you in this time, because from here on out, it's only downhill for you if you don't choose to rise. You take care of yourselves, brothers and sisters, Jews and Gentiles. I love you all, and the Most High loves you more. Take care and carry on.